Howdy y'all, this is Mar with Elementally Functional Family Fitness presenting EIM for Mobility in March here on KidPass. EIM is Elementally Intuitive Movement, which is a structure, 6-level structure for improvised movement. So we're going to be making up our motions, but we're going to be paying deliberate attention to specific foundations as we do, going through specific levels. The foundations that we're paying attention to are breath, center, and base. Breath, we want to inhale through our nostrils, exhale through our nostrils or our mouths, because our noses are filters. Our center is composed of 3 parts, upper, middle, and lower. We want to keep our shoulders back and chest open, so that way our backs can be upright. We want to hold ourselves upright with our bellies, because you see together, when these let go, then this lets go. And it's hard to have this back with this out, so you have to put the two together, so it's a unit. So we have the unit of the shoulders working with the belly to support our backs. And then we also have here in the lower, the hinge at the hips. So we're going to hinge whenever we bend, which helps keep our backs straight. Our spines specifically, the bones that hold our backs up straight. So that helps to support the center. And then next is our base, which is our feet. And our feet are in alignment with our knees. And some people have feet that point out and some people have feet that point in, which isn't necessarily the best for our knees long term. So for training ourselves to support our knees long term as we go through life, we want to train our feet to be pointing forward, maybe a little bit out, but forward, mainly forward. So there we go. Those are the first 3 foundations: breath, center, and base, that we're paying attention to as we're going to go through 3 levels. O, which is getting to know our guide. Our guide is our hands connected together as a unit. We're going to follow them. Then we're going to find our centers with level 1. Our hands are connected to our bodies, or exploring one hand out with one hand in. And then level 2, expanding into our spheres. Because as we're practicing elementally intuitive movement, that's what we're doing. We're exploring our spheres. In the first 3 levels, we have stable bases, or rather stationary bases, or hopefully our bases are always stable, but they're stationary. We can shift orientation, but then we stay there, because what this is doing is creating a limitation. And because we have the limitation of our feet being stuck down, now we get to adapt to the position of our feet with the rest of our body as we're exploring our space with our hands as our guides. So now, before we get started, I want to do a little quick warm-up with what I call shimmy. Because we're mammals, a way that we can process tension easily is by shaking. So to get the shake going, we put our hands together and shake it from side to side. And we shake, 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 shake. And by simply moving our hands back and forth, the rest of our body gets going. Make sure your knees are a little bent so they're loose, and that you're holding your head steady so it's not going left and right from place to place, side to side. Inhaling through our nostrils, keeping our shoulders back, knees bent, center is holding us up. And now we're going to let the hands go, but keep the body shaking. And now we're going to shake our arms. And I like to call this wacky arms, because we're getting wacky with our arms. And this helps to mobilize our joints, gets our blood flow going, produces synovial fluid in the joints for lubrication, helps warm up the interstitial fluid in between all of our tissues. The fascia that connects the muscles and the bones and everything together get warmed up. And there we are. So that's a little bit of shaking, shimmy to warm up before going on to level O. O, our hands are connected together in different kinds of ways, as long as they're connected. Fingertip to fingertip, palm to palm, back to back. There's lots of different orientations, variations that we can explore. And then our hands motion moves our arms, which then moves the rest of our bodies as we're exploring space with those stationary bases that we're saying. So now, because my base cannot move, the rest of me has to move. And I'm exploring my sphere, my near sphere, with my hands connected. As I'm exploring, I'm paying attention and noticing if something feels uncomfortable. Don't do it like that. Try it a different way. If it feels comfortable, go for it. Enjoy it. But don't do it for too long. Move on. Because right now, we are exploring space. We're exploring our spheres. In whichever way works for you. The way that I'm moving works for me. You don't have to do what I'm doing. You can move however you want to. You can explore your sphere how you want to explore your sphere. I do recommend starting slowly so that we get used to maintaining planes. Planes being horizontal, vertical, and diagonal. As we're moving through space, we want to maintain those planes because that's how we train our bodies, our muscles specifically, to support us as we're moving through space against gravity. The further away that our arms are from our centers, the more that we're going to feel gravity affecting our arms as levers. Checking in. Breath. Am I inhaling through my nostrils? Center. Are my shoulders back? Am I supporting my back by holding my center? Am I hinging at my hips? Where are my feet? As we're moving, it's not only the upper body that's moving. You see my lower body is in constant motion as well. Part of what we're doing is training ourselves to stay in motion throughout the entire practice. Whether we're moving very slowly or quickly. Part of the challenge is to figure out all the different ways that we can move while we're limited by connected hands and our feet being stationary bases. We can experiment with proximity and distance, our feet being closer together, and how that affects our motion, and what spaces we can access, what avenues we can move through, or further apart. And you don't have to do what I'm doing. Remember, how you explore your sphere is for you to explore, for you to discover. I'm showing you examples of ways that we can explore as we practice level O with our hands connected. Now, level 1, finding our centers, our hands are connected to our bodies. This is helping to engage our sense of proprioception, which is where we are in space. When we bend down, we hinge at our hips. When we put our hands on our centers, we can feel the muscles engaging underneath our hands. And our goal is to access as much of our bodies as we can. And in the process of doing that, we mobilize. And we get a sense of what's going on with our bodies. We can add some pressure and give ourselves a massage. We can take this level as an opportunity to thank our bodies for carrying us through space, because our bodies are spaceships that we use to explore not just our spheres, but the greater environments as well. The ones that we share with our friends and family. If we each didn't have our bodies, where would we be? So I say thank you, head. Thank you, head, and thank you, neck. Oh, and thank you, ears, and eyes, and nose, and mouth, thank you. And shoulders. Thank my shoulders, and my upper arms, and my elbows, and my forearms, my wrists, my hands, my fingers. I thank them for all that they can do and the way that they can move. We can mix in some level O with our level 1 as we continue. And I thank my chest and my heart and my lungs. And I thank my tummy. And I thank my sides. And I thank my guts. And I thank my back and my bottom. And all my back that I can reach. Oh, whatever parts of my back I can reach. I pat myself, I rub my back. I say, thank you, back. And I thank my hips. And I thank my hip hinge. That helps me move. And I thank my thighs. And my hamstrings. My knees. My shins. And my calves. My ankles. My feet. And my toes. I thank all of it because it all helps me experience my life. So there we go. Level 1, finding our centers, self-massage, and gratitude for the vessels that we have, that we are here to share. Level 2, we're expanding into our spheres. Before we expand into our sphere, though, we can do level 1.5. Explore with one hand out and one hand in. So the hand that's in serves as an anchor, and the hand that's out serves as a rudder that guides our motion. So we can practice exploring space and being moved by one lever at a time. And switch. And then level 2, expand into your sphere with 2 levers. Level 2 is the 3rd level, because when I first came up with this all, there wasn't a level O. Level O came last, and that's okay, because the way that I established this practice was for how I learned or figured out how to describe hoopment, which is working with an implement, a small hoop. And that is elemental implement manipulation, working with implements. At the time, it made sense to add level O and get to know our guide, because you need to get to know your implement and how it feels and moves. And then I realized that our bodies are our guide. And level O, we're not only getting to know our hands as a unit that move us, but we're getting to know our whole body as a unit working together, being moved by our implement, which is our hands connected, our guide. So we mix in levels O and 1 and 2, 1.5. And check in with those foundations, those spheres of awareness. Breath. Am I inhaling through my nostrils? Where's my center? Am I holding myself upright? with my upper, middle, and lower. Where's my base? And as we pay deliberate attention to those spheres of awareness, those foundations, we're training our autopilots to maintain those spheres of awareness and rotation when we're not necessarily paying attention deliberately, the way that we are during our practice. The main goal of elementally intuitive movement is mobilization. It's reminding our bodies that we can move through space in so many different ways, because whatever we do often, we get better at doing. So if we spend a lot of time seated in front of a computer, then we get really good at being seated. And our bodies maybe forget that they can do other things. So we want to alternate whatever repetitive activity we're doing with intuitive movement, with improvised movement that our bodies get to adapt to. And the more that we explore our spheres, the more avenues of motion we find and discover. And then the game becomes finding all the different avenues that we can explore and move through with those stationary bases, or with our hands connected to each other, or connected to us, or one hand out and one hand connected, or both hands out. So that gives us a lot to explore and play around with in a very small amount of space. So you see how you can get full body movement, mobilization, and exercise without needing to go anywhere special, without needing to do anything, without requiring any special equipment whatsoever, because our bodies, as our spaceships, are the special equipment. This is all we need. Another thing that we're going to do is Vagalize. So supporting vagal tone, vagus nerve tone, which helps support our rest and digest system. So it helps us process stress, basically. And we can support vagus nerve tone by singing, laughing, chanting, oming. So we're gonna do what I like to call laughing vowels as we are continuing to do AIM. So we're gonna continue alternating between O and 1 and 2 as we laugh some vowels out, and then we're going to do some Om in between. And you can join me or not, it's up to you. It just adds another level of support to our bodies for the few minutes a day that we give it some mobilization, some self-care and maintenance. So here we go, laughing vowels. So there we go. That was what I call vagalizing. So it's supporting vagus nerve tone to help us process tension and stress with either singing or humming or chanting, making sounds, and mobilizing as we do it because we can. Why not, right? If we can mobilize as we chant, may as well get the benefits of both. That's the way I see it, anyhow. If you would like to learn more, I have a 36-week program that focuses on the next 3 levels of AIM, as well as the next 3 foundations, which are spheres of awareness, attention, adaptation, and intuitive integration. The last 3 levels are exploring spaces with mobile bases, returning to center. After finding our centers, we're returning to center with balancing poses, which is really where we're focusing on adaptation. And then intuitive integration, where we're putting together shimmy and AIM, and now doing it and keeping our bodies in motion, even more so than we were before. So there we go. 6 levels, 6 weeks on each level, focusing on each foundation. 36 weeks total, 1 class per week. So you get to practice for a whole week before we move on to the next one. Yeah, by the time you're done, you will have everything that you need to maintain your own intuitive mobility practice with you as your guide, because your vessel is your guide. Your body is a spaceship. Maintain it, take care of it. It's the only one you've got, and you have it for life. So love it, appreciate it, take care of it, head to toe. Thank you. I hope you had a good time. See you soon.